I want the Bruguera way. So Luis Bruguera with the young ones, he wants them to go deep, to go back. And it kind of looks bad. Like when I first saw it in Spain, I cringed. You know, like if Gilad saw what the kids were doing, he would cringe. He would be upset. He'd probably curse at those kids for moving so far back, because it kind of looks like, I don't want to say moonballing, because we did a podcast on moon, a great podcast, by the way, very popular podcast, guys. If you catch the show on moonballing, it's called Moonballers, a couple shows back. Awesome show. We've got a lot of funny stories about that show. Anyway, if you go to Spain and you see the little kids grinding it out on the dirt, you see a lot of kids moving back, you know, hit high ball, moving back. And they're really sometimes playing very, very deep, 10, 15 feet deep into the court, into the backcourt, which may be hard to do in some places if you have like a bubble and the backcourt is there's not a lot of length back there. But anyway, so if you're coming from a discipline or a philosophy where the methodology is on the right, going early and shrinking the core and squeezing the baseline, it looks really bad. And you probably think, what in God's name are these Spanish kids doing? But to me, it's actually ideal. They're learning to take more steps. So you might say, wow, why do you want to take more steps? It's better to take less steps. And you're right. It is better. As you get better, you get more advanced. But in the beginning years, it's better to teach a kid how to take more steps and manage those steps and measure those steps well. And I have a saying where you want a young kid to learn how to be comfortable in all of the areas of the court. And the court is not just the rectangle that's drawn out there. The court includes the whole thing, like the whole space. What's a typical dimension for a court? Like 120 by 50, like the feet, the entire dimensions, the square footage, square area there, not just the 78 by 36, so if you like math, most kids that I see from a lot of places in the US, a lot of places that have indoors, a lot of places where the courts are faster. And I'm thinking, the typical culprits you have, like Australia, England, Northern Europe, Eastern Europe, unless they play a lot on clay in the summer months. Some of the places do. California, lots of indoors in the US, think places like that. These are the kind of places I'm talking about. Typically, the players play like the court is 78 feet length, if I'm not mistaken, and 36 width. So like the kids are shrinking the court to that or less. Like some kids will try to run as few steps as possible, and they'll play like inside the baseline, and they won't even move outside the court. They'll take and then they'll try to justify it to you. And they'll say, well, I'm being aggressive. I'm taking the ball on the rise here, which is a bunch of BS. I'm telling you, you get a little kid in front of you. Hope you guys are following me. I try to put you on the court with me. You get a little kid in front of you. You don't want that little kid to shrink the court and take as few steps as possible to get to the ball. You want them to to learn how to play the entire space. And that may mean taking more steps, which is also good for their physical, their stamina, their conditioning. It's also good for their endurance, to learn how to move and cover more than necessary sometimes to cover the big space of the court, rather than always cutting the court off diagonal, like Gilad always used to have the little ones cutting the ball off on the diagonal, which is a good skill to learn. But I think after you've learned the ekis, and the ekis is the classic movement on the court from Spain, the movement pattern where you're drawing an X on the baseline and you learn to move on all lines of the X,